So, good evening, everyone. I am Smita Mandal. Currently, I am doing PhD in Chemical Engineering in IIT Madras. I am a Prime Minister Research Fellow. So, I am taking class on Organic Chemical Technology. Today, our topic is oil and fat industries. So, let's start with that. First is some basic introduction on the oil and fat industries. Various oil and fats are used widely by food, soap, cosmetics, lubricant, and paint industries. Oil and fats are very essential for our day-to-day life because these are the main source of various byproducts that we use usually as a daily products in daily life. Fats and oils are found widely distributed in nature. We all know that, and in both plants and animal, we have different kinds of fat and oil reserves. The important thing is fats and oils are the mixtures of glycerides of various fatty acids. I will be discussing how uh, how the chemical reaction occurs to form fats and oil using various kind of fatty acids. These fatty acids include oleic acid, linoleic acid, linolenic acid, lauric acid, seric acid, lignoceric acid, and palmitic acid. There are various kinds of acid. Some acids are saturated acid, fatty acid. Some acids are unsaturated or polyunsaturated fatty acids. The industrialization of oils and fats began with the erection of cotton seed mill, like in 1826. The industrialization first started with cotton seed mill. These oils are saponified, hydrogenated, epoxided, and sulfonated to a great number of usable products. Fats are isomerized and interesterified. All these processings are used to upgrade and produce more useful product out of oils and fats. So moving forward, I'll be giving you some examples of some common fatty acids used to make oil and fats. Some examples are, suppose this is um, on the palm oil. It has palmitic acid. It looks like this kind of chemical, this 14 number of CH2 groups are there with C double bond OH. Next one is, suppose we get olive oil. So in the olive oil, we found oleic acid. It is like CH3, CH2, Number 7, CH double one CH CH2 7 COOH. Other kind of like oil of flax, it has linoleic acid. So it has CH3, CH2, CH, some long chain of hydrocarbon like CH groups, CH, CH2, COOH. So these are some common fatty acids are used. Moving forward, so what is oil and fats? Fats and oils are the complex mixture of lipid components. The main components are triglyceride. Here you can see the main component of fats and lipids are triglyceride, but it may also contain mono and diglycerides. It may also contain, and it also has some amount of free fatty acid, phospholipids, glycolipids, sterols, and other fat soluble impurities like tocopherols, tocopherols, carotenoids, this kind of thing. Fats and oils are derived from, what are the source of fats and oil? We all we all know that we derive oils from various seeds or nuts. So even using the fruits. So these are some basic sources of fats and oils. Fats and oils, we have to make sure that fats and oils are water soluble, are not water soluble. The important thing is fats are solid in nature at normal room temperature, but oils are liquid in nature at room temperature condition. So I'll be discussing in details what is triglycerides. That is only the source of oils and fat. So triglycerides, it contains three quantity of fatty acids which is attached to the glycerol molecule. Now what is that? So the general structure is, suppose, so this is connected to CHO, C double bond O, R2. So here, due to the presence of other bond, it won't be CH2, it will be CH. Wait. So this kind of structure is of triglycerides. Should be CH. So if you see, like, what is the glycerol backbone of this triglyceride? Glycerol backbone is this part. This part is glycerol backbone. Whereas this part, C double bond O to alkyl group, this one is fatty acids. So if you want to see the details of this fatty acid chain, like this portion, C double bond O, CH2, CH2, like this. It can be CH2, it can be like this. N number of can be there. CH2, CH3. Okay. So this is fatty acid part. Okay. So moving forward, you can see C R, C double bond OH. These are the fatty acid. The three quantity of fatty acid with different alkyl group will denote different kind of fatty acids. It will attach to the glycerol backbone, that is in the presence of the catalyst, and it will produce triglyceride. And as a part, there will be C. Because of these OH groups, there will be three molecule of H2O. So this is only the source of fat or oil. Now we can focus on what are the different types of fatty acid. One is saturated fatty acid and another one is unsaturated fatty acid. Okay. So what is saturated fatty acid? So I have already explained how the fatty acid looks like. What are the chemical structure of fatty acid? So saturated fatty acid is when all the carbon atoms are fully saturated with hydrogen. Hello, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So just for the recap in very brief, I have discussed about what are the sources of fatty acid and oil. Next, I have discussed some of the used fatty acid like palm oil, olive oil, linoleic acid, oleic acid, palmitic acid. These kind of acids we use to get the triglyceride out of it. That is the fat and oil. So fats and oil, these are the complex mixture of the lipid components. So I have discussed all these things that fats are solid at room temperatures and oils are liquid at room temperature. So I have briefly discussed about what is triglyceride. It made of three number of fatty acid which is attached to the glycerol molecule, and glycerol acts as a backbone to the triglyceride. You can see this part is the glycerol and this part is the fatty acid. Now explaining this fatty acid, you can see there is CH2 uh, there is CH2 molecule in n number of terms. If the n varies, then it will produce different kind of fatty acid. So I am discussing here about the saturated kinds of fatty acid. One is saturated fatty acid and next one is unsaturated fatty acid. So saturated fatty acid are all the carbon atoms are fully saturated in the presence of hydrogen. There will be no C double bond C. This kind of double bonds will not be present. There will be no C double bond C bonds in the saturated fatty acid. The molecular structure of the saturated fatty acid is straight. How? And the fats is defined as the triesters of the saturated fatty acid with the glycerol. Just see this kind of structure. This is the structure of saturated fatty acid. CH, CH, and it goes on as per like what is the fatty acid you want to make out of that. There will be n number of this group, and it will end like this. This is the one kind of saturated fatty acid. Now, what is the unsaturated fatty acid? Here, all the carbon's atoms are not fully saturated in the presence of hydrogen. There might be monosaturated, like there will be one C double bond will be present in the molecular structure, and there will be the bend in the molecular structure will be at that C double bond C uh, at that bond. Whereas polyunsaturated, there will be two or more number of C double bond C, and the bends are there wherever there will be C double bond C bond will be there. There will be molecular structural bend. Oil is defined as the triesters of the unsaturated fatty acid. Like in the case of previous, we are replacing the saturated fatty acid with unsaturated fatty acids with glycerol. So, such and it produce the unsaturated oil. I want to give you the example how it looks like the molecular structure. So it moves, it becomes like this kind of bending structure, molecular structure. The same thing, OH, C double bond O, CH, CH.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, whatever you're writing is not actually visible. Ha,
Sorry.
now it's visible.
Can you can you see my slides? If I just moving to the hello.
Hello, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now it's visible. Actually, before it wasn't. Now I think it's visible.
Is it visible now?
Fatty acids, right, ma'am?
Yeah, I am writing on it. It is not visible now.
No, ma'am. Whatever you're writing is not visible.
Is it visible now?
Uh, ma'am, write something.
The slides you can see.
Yes, ma'am. The slides I'm able to see.
So it is written unsaturated fatty acid. You can see the slides
Yes,
written.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So in the structure, molecular structure of unsaturated fatty acid, this kind of bend is there when there will be double bond of C. C double bond C when there will be, and then there will be bend in the molecular structure. Other than that, it is quite same. This kind of structure is there for unsaturated fatty acid. So the bends are there when there will be C double bond C. If there are multiple C double bond C, then there will be multiple bends in the molecular structure. Like it goes like this, then straight, and then like that. So these are some basic about fatty acid. So trans fatty acid, these are present, highly present in the butter that we usually consume and in partially hydrogenated fats. Unsaturated fatty acid with hydrogen atoms on opposite sides of the C double bond C. Uh, why it is called trans? Because of the structure. If you see the structure, then you can notice the change. So, what I mean to say, this double C double bond C, now hydrogen is present like in the opposite direction, not in the same direction. Hydrogen is here and hydrogen is there, like in the opposite direction. That's why it is called trans fatty acid. And this is also unsaturated fatty acid because it is not completely saturated. There is still double bond. So this is the trans version, and there is another one is cis version that also I am giving you example. The same thing, and the hydrogen will be present in the same direction at the same place, like same direction. So this is the cis position and this is the trans position. So up to this, we have discussed how the triglycerides look like, how it is formed in the presence of fatty acid and glycerol. Then I discussed about types of fatty acid, saturated fatty acid, unsaturated fatty acid, and that also have mono unsaturated, polyunsaturated fatty acid, and another one is trans unsaturated fatty acid. So moving forward, the next point will be what are the processing involves for fats and oils. So the main steps involved in the processing of fats and oil, the first part obviously you have oil seeds. So you want to extract that oil from that seed. So first step is extraction. Second step is refining of the oil. And third part is other optional uh, processes that will include. So the optional part, these are used for the improving of functionality. It can have hydrogenation, some of the chemical processes. I will discuss one by one in the later part. Next one is aeration. Aeration is to remove the excess water or to make it in a suitable, not in contact with the oxygen. So we generally flow the inert gas for that. Second part is fractionation. Third one is interesterification. Okay. So moving to the first part, so this extraction is removing of oil from the oil seed. Oil seeds like, so this is the removing of oil from oil seeds. Oil seeds like I can give you example like soya bean or sunflower or olive oil. Various kinds of fruits are also used as a source of oils and fats. And this kind of extraction It can be mechanical extraction or it can be solvent extraction process that will involve. I will discuss these processes in the later part. So this is very important. That is the hydrogenation. It generally, what does it imply? It makes by this process it makes the liquid oil to solid form. Okay, and uh, it by this it undergoes some oxidative reaction, rancidity. I will discuss this part in the later one by one. Okay. So first is the hydrolysis. So why hydrolysis occurs? The fats are hydrolyzed in presence of water. With water in presence of external heat source to form free fatty acid and glycerol. So you already know the structure of fat, like one, 3. So when there will be presence of water, it will form glycerol. It will dissociate into glycerol and acids, fatty acids. That is free fatty acids. Okay, so glycerol is the backbone of the fats. So it dissociates into and free fatty acid. So because of this presence of free fatty acid, there sometimes we get the smells because it has certain smells. So this kind of hydrolysis reaction occurs when there will be poor storage condition of the product. That usually occurs. Otherwise, when you intentionally need to dissociate the fats and oils into free acids, then you have to go for this kind of hydrolysis reaction. Now, what is the hydrogenation reaction? Hydrogen gas is passed under the pressure into liquid fats. Liquid fats means these are unsaturated fat in the presence of catalyst. To a catalyst, it acts as a reducing agent. Full hydrogenation results in the conversion of all unsaturated fat into saturated fat. All the hydrogen will be consumed into the molecular structure. You can imagine all the double bonds will be single bonds and it will be completely saturated with hydrogen. And that is work transforming all the double bonds into single bonds. It increases the melting point of the product and enhances its stability. How it enhances the stability? Because um, it is no longer reactive to hydrogen or oxygen. So it all that double bonds gets nullified and it gets formed single bonds only. So stability improves as well as the melting point increases. So, at what context we have discussed about this, that hydrogenation we generally do to make the unsaturated fatty acid to saturated fatty acid, because saturated fatty acid are more stable in normal ambient temperature pressure condition, and these are having very high melting point. And this hydrogenation, this reaction is represented by the and what extent hydrogenation occurred, it is represented by iodine value. So it is represented by iodine value. Suppose this is your unsaturated fatty acid. Some alkyl group are there. In the presence of hydrogen and in the presence of nickel catalyst, it becomes all the single bonds are there. And in the presence of double bond, it will be like this. So it was unsaturated. Now it becomes saturated. So what is iodine value? That is the degree of hydrogenation we marked as iodine value. By the number of iodine value, we generally have the idea what is the extent of hydrogenation. It is defined as the grams of iodine that combine with 100 grams of oil. Grams of iodine that combine with the 100 grams of oil. Hydrogenation may result in the formation of some chemical isomer, particularly trans fatty acid isomers it can produce. The amount of trans isomers formed during the hydrogenation depends on many factors. So this hydrogenation reaction, very important in pressure temperature condition, is to be maintained like that you get the desired product, maintaining the iodine value like this way. The main factors are temperature, time, because it takes long time in the batch process, hydrogen gas pressure, and the type of catalyst you are using. Now we talked about rancidity. Fats are tend to spoil on the storage and often develop some unpleasant smell due to the free fatty acid, and it tastes like very odd when it comes contact with air and moisture. So, depending on that, hydrolytic rancidity, when it comes in contact with the moisture, particularly some enzymatic reactions are occurring and it forms free fatty acids. And that free fatty acid has certain smell, so that produce unpleasant smell. Next one is the oxidative rancidity, that it comes in contact with the oxygen and then it produces free fatty acid. Free fatty acid production, and that is the unpleasant smell. The degree of the degree of rancidity of the fat is identified by acid number. This is also the extent of how the rancidity, at what extent the rancidity has occurred. It is denoted by acid number. So types of rancidity, I already discussed. One is oxidative, and second one is hydrolytic. By both this reaction, we get produces free fatty acids plus glycerol. Next is the reaction involved in the fats and oils, that is interesterification. Interesterification is nothing but rearrangement of the fatty acid on the glycerol backbone on the in a triglyceride molecule in the presence of some catalyst. What are the catalysts we generally use? Alkaline catalyst. Sodium methanolate, sodium ethanolate, or some enzymatic like lipase. As a result, the interesterification, the fat's melting point increases, and interesterified fats have wider plasticity range. That means their physical properties can retain over a wider range of temperature. They can retain their physical properties. It is, you can say, this is an alternative of hydrogenation process, interesterification. So, I want to give one example. Like this is your triglyceride molecule. I am giving you an example. Suppose this is R2, R3. So, by the reaction in the presence of alkaline catalyst, and there will be interesterification process. So, of course, there will be rearrangement. Suppose R1 becomes R2, R2 becomes R3, there will be some rearrangement and it forms some other product. Okay. So up to this, is there any question from your side? Next part, we will be discussing how we generally extract oils from the oil seed. So oil extraction methods has different categories like chemical methods using solvent or enzyme, high pressure method, distillation or fractionation, mechanical method, we use hydraulic press and screw press. So this mechanical method or this kind of oil extraction method, we generally do solid liquid phase separation. First, this mechanical operation, mechanical methods of oil extraction, it has certain advantage, like advantages of mechanical method. It is very simple use, no involvement of other solvents and their analysis of toxicity and all. It is very simple use. You have to use the extractor, some hydraulic press or screw press. It is a rapid process, shorter duration. Um, Oil content less than 20%. Such kind of raw materials are used for this mechanical operation, mechanical method, and this is a low cost process, and very high protein rich byproduct we get. uh, protein rich cake that we call cake we get as a byproduct. But there are some disadvantage. So disadvantage, it has very low yield comparative to the chemical method, and almost 7% of oil remains in the oil seed after, even after this kind of mechanical method operations remain in the oil seed. This is not possible to extract anymore. So this kind of hydraulic press or mechanical methods we do maybe by pressure and by controlling the temperature, that is called cold or hot press. So depending on the nature of the raw material, we will be choosing that we should go for the cold press or hot press. So the expeller or the screw press is used as the extractor for oil in the mechanical method. So first the pressing the material seed or the oil seeds using the screw press to extract the oil. If the seeds are cracked or flaked, then conditions the seed to the proper moisture temperature condition, and then the oil is squeezed out in the screw press. The oil is then filtered and frequently refined before the uses. Obviously, there will be lot of impurities. You have to do several times of centrifugation, filter press, some kind of other chemical treatment to remove the impurity before the final use. Mechanical extraction is more economical when used for the low capacity process. What is the capacity? 500 tons per day. But for the solvent extraction process, it may have very high capacity and higher yield. It is not suitable for all types of oil seed, and only 90 to 93% recovery of oil can be done from the oil seeds, not 100%. This is the diagram or schematic of the expeller. You can see this is the screw press. So raw material is there inside the chamber. There will be mesh so that it passes through some screening process, and there by this nut bolt kind of arrangement there will be pressure, and temperature rises around 60 to 100 degrees Celsius in such arrangement. When there is cold press oil extraction process, the same kind of thing you are putting the this is the raw material you are putting, and there will be a press head and press nozzle. You are creating pressure and frictions inside the chamber, and the oil canals, you can see there are small oil canals. From there oil will be extracted and it will be collected. So here the temperature is not like 60 to 100. It is not that it doesn't goes up to this high range of temperature. It is less than 50 degrees Celsius. This kind of temperature is maintained for cold press oil extraction. So moving forward, I will be discussing now solvent extraction method. This is very interesting topic. We can see here up to 98% recovery of the oil from the oil seeds is possible. Oil extraction is done by dissolving the seed into the solvent. What kind of solvent? Hexane is used as a solvent. Extractor, that is nothing but solid liquid extraction process where occurs, is usually used to mix the oil seeds and solvents very thoroughly. Then the oil is liberated from the solvent in a series of stripping columns and centrifugations with associated condenser. The extracted oil components can be recovered by simply evaporation of the solvent. At last, the oil is cooled and filtered for the further process. Further storage. So, solvent extraction methods you can use for the raw materials like soybean, which has some minor oil seeds or very low oil bearing material. We can extract the oil from that low oil bearing material by the method of solvent extraction. There are various equipment, chocolate equipment, extraction equipments are used um, using hexane as a solvent. So, but how we proceed with the oil solution, hexane and oil, this is the oil solution, is filtered further to remove the fine solid particles. Distillation is carried out to obtain oil and hexane solvent to make them separate, two separate phase. The cake which is being produced, which is saturated with the hexane solvent, then it should be regenerated, or it should be the solvent should be regenerated. So it is subjected to heats to get liberated from the solvent. The loss of the hexane in the overall process of solvent extraction is around 5 to 15%. So, in the flow chart, when you will be seeing the flow chart of the solvent extraction, maybe in the process when there will be requirement of certain quantity of hexane as a solvent, you must have to add the makeup solvent for running the process smoothly and in a certain condition. What are the factors affecting the solvent extraction process? One is the extraction speed, permeability of the oil seed. That's why it should be crushed. Multiple series of crushers should be used, or like it depends on the physical nature of the oil seeds you are choosing as a raw material. So you should, the ultimate target should be, you should increase the permeability of the oil seed by doing this kind of mechanical operation. Height of the bed and fines, operating temperature, obviously it should be lesser than the it should not be like that you are putting the temperature in such a way that liquids starts evaporating. It should not be like that. So the temperature, operating temperature, should be maintained below the vaporizing temperature of the liquids, and also the viscosity of the oil. So these kind of factors or parameters that may affect the process if there is any mismatch. Okay. So is there any question as of now?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So the solvent extraction method, the prepared seed flakes or cakes are then transported on a perforated belt through the horizontal body of the extractor. Fresh solvent is also introduced at the discharge end of the extractor and is sprayed over the bed of the product. The solvents percolated through the product and extracted oil to be collected in a hopper and pumped to a sprayer located next to the hopper towards the extractor inlet. So these are some processes that's description. It involves that how the post processing is being done after the extractor. This process is repeated several times by a series of pumps so that the solvent becomes richer in oil. There will be solvent and oil mixture. So this kind of operation is done by a series of pumps to make the solvents richer in oil. About 75% of the oil is extracted in the first 25 minutes. Um, First 25 minutes out of 60 to 75 minutes of residence time. So you can see that you are doing the process and running the process for longer time like 75 minutes. Only 75% you can achieve up to 75% oil in first 25 minutes. After that, a prolonged time is required to extract the leftover oil as it becomes less accessible to the solvent. Extraction speed depends on the percolation or the liquid's flow through the seeds. Hexane and hexane and missile spray distributor spray distributor are designed to avoid channeling and contamination and dead zone. Okay. So you can see this is the process flowchart of solvent extraction method. The solvent is used here, hexane. Hexane is used. I would like to give you the properties of hexane. Why this solvent is used or why the solvent is being uh, highly recommended for using for solvent extraction method. The properties is it has boiling point of 64 degrees Celsius. Itself it is low viscous, easily flammable, and easy recovery due to volatility of solvent. This part is very important because at the last we want to separate the oil and the solvent. Uh, there should be some option of highly volatile, so there will be easy recovery of the solvent. So the process involves the cake, it goes to oil extractor. As a byproduct, we get the cake like wet meal. It absorbs solvent in it. The mixed oil we get, it goes to evaporation. Evaporation, the solvent is being evaporated based on the difference in the volatility. Then it goes to condensing and the solvent recovery is done. Whereas from the evaporation we get as another product of crude oil and it goes to the refining workshop. From the extractor we get the solvent enriched cake. It again goes to the desolventizer. From there, we get the solvent for it again go to condensing. Dry meal we can use as a animal feed or we can sell as a product. Now, after condensing of the solvent, there will be recovery of the solvent. So flow sheet involves it gives an idea that how the processes are connected in the solvent extraction method. Now you have an idea that how the oil from the oil seed, how the oil is extracted using the mechanical press or solvent extraction processes. So when you get the oil, you cannot directly consume or you cannot directly use the product as it is, because it needs lot of processing of that crude oil. Crude oil means that oil you are extracting from the oil seed. So first operation is the steam refining or deodorization, that is removal of the free fatty acid. By deacidification reaction, we do removal of the free fatty acid. In the alkali refining method, free fatty acids, those are present in the crude oil, those are neutralized with the excess presence of 0.1% NaOH solution, and the mixture is heated up to 75 degrees Celsius to break any emulsions are formed. Then the centrifugation is followed to remove the gums or soap, whereas fatty acids are recovered by acid. This kind of deacidification reaction, all the fatty acids are recovered. Steam refining involves degumming. Refining involves degumming. Bleaching also involves, and treatment with sparing steam under high vacuum conditions so that the fatty acids are removed by distillation. Pre-treatment of the crude oil prior to high temperature operation like steam refining is the removal of the some trace metals. These processes that I am giving the description out of here, I will be discussing these in the later part through a flowchart. Decolorization can also be done using the fuller earth material, carbon or some kind of adsorbent, to absorb the color of some kind of colors are there in the crude oil that you are extracting from the oil seed. So decolorization, for the purpose of decolorization, we use fuller's earth, carbon or similar kind of adsorbent. So bleaching, that is what? The bleaching of the edible oils and fats is a part of the refining process of the crude oils and fats, which removes the contaminants of the adversely impact of appearance and performance of this triglycerides based material. It proceeds with by generally degumming, refining or neutralization processes. Bleaching is required to remove the specific detrimental contaminants that are not effectively removed by the process before the oil progresses for deodorization. So before the deodorization, you should remove this kind of contaminants. While the bleaching process appears to be a simple mixing of the adsorbent, what is the adsorbent used? That is the bentonite clay. It has excellent adsorbent property. That's why it has been chosen. And the oil is followed by then filtration, chemical and physical reactions occurring very complex and greatly reliant on the process variables, like what are the moisture level of the oil, crude oil, what is the temperature you have to maintain, what is the contact time of the batch process or continuous process, what under vacuum condition you have to put it in the vacuum condition to remove the moistures and all. So oil quality entering the bleacher and the amount and the characteristics of the adsorbent and the type of the equipment involved, everything all these kind of process variables are important before the oil is being sent to the bleaching process. All kind of um, you have to take care of these parameters. So what are the processing, you can see from this diagram. So from this diagram, the first one is degumming. So it separates the filterable solids and hydratable phosphatides. Refining is free fatty acid, metals, pigments, those are being removed from the crude oil. Bleaching is you get oxidation products, phosphides, pigments, metal and soap, those are removed. Deodorization, that is you remove the free fatty acid by somehow. So these are the process involved as processing of the oil. This is the flow diagram of steam refining and deodorization. So in this we will discuss uh, some more concept. Is there any question from your side? Lights are visible for everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is the flow sheet of steam refining process of the oil. This crude storage is the storage tank. So this is the storage tank of the crude oil. Crude oil means those are extracted from the oil seeds. Now, this is the process of degumming. Degumming is the process like you are getting this oil into this reactor. You are also putting the steam as maintain the temperature. Acid pretreatment is done. That is only the all the impurities, uh, some reactions with acid and base, and acid is phosphoric acid has been used. Acid pretreatment is done, and the product is then pumped to the slurry reactor. So here the bleaching operation is done. For the bleaching operation, we are putting the bentonite clay from the clay storage to feeder. We can directly, this kind of feeders are also there to put in the hopper of the reactor. So, uh, as we already discussed, that bentonite clay adsorbent is used bleaching purpose. To vacuum the system, uh, just to remove the air and moisture in present in the crude oil. Then the steam is being passed to maintain the temperature. Then it is cooled, and it goes through the different series of filters. Okay, and then it goes for the deodorization reaction, deodorization operation, steam stripper and deodorization. From there, from the ejector, we will be uh, recovering the fatty acid. Those are free fatty acid will be uh, in the deodorization. We already discussed that how it operates. That it we want to remove the fatty acid out of the system, because fatty acid it causes a smell. So in this reactor, by this distillation, we are um, separating the fatty acid, and also there will be nitrogen supply when we will be again storing the fatty acid, because this fatty acid should not be in contact with the oxygen and atmospheric condition. It may create lot of byproducts and unnecessary chemical compounds that may degrade the quality of the fatty acid. And after all, by this from this reactor, you will get deodorized oil, refined oil. Next is hydrogenation. We already discussed that what is hydrogenation. That is making the unsaturated fatty acid to the saturated fatty acid, right? So by this process flow sheet, I'll be discussing that how, what are the process parameters you need to take care. Like there are a lot of kinetics and other thermodynamics parameters are involved in the hydrogenation process, that you should take care of it. So at first the oil, the crude oil, is fed to the reactor, that is hydrogenated. Steam and water is fed, like to maintain the temperature as well as to evaporate the extra moisture present in the crude oil. The hydrogen is supplied because we need to do the hydrogenation reaction. The hydrogen is supplied at the bottom of the reactor because of the easy mixing and proper mixing. There is a mechanical mixer, and also in the presence of catalyst is very important. So we make the catalyst oil slurry in this reactor. In this mixture we make the catalyst and oil slurry. uh, some makeup nickel catalyst we already discussed. In the presence of nickel catalyst, the hydrogenation reaction occurs. So the oil and catalyst slurry is mixed here properly, and it is pumped back to the hydrogenator. Now this hydrogenated reactor is maintain the temperature at 120 to 180 degrees Celsius at a pressure of 1 to 3.5 atmospheric pressure. Okay, so this is a batch process we are discussing. So this hydrogenation reaction, it is an exothermic process. Okay, so for this, to maintain the temperature, it should not be above 180, it should not cross the 200 degrees Celsius. To maintain the temperature of the process, you need to have cooling jacket. Maintain the temperature. Okay, why this temperature? This temperature is very important factor, as if you increase the temperature above 200 degrees Celsius. Suppose you increase the temperature above 200 degrees Celsius, it may undergo the pyrolysis reaction. Okay, and there might be some cases of sintering of the catalyst. The catalyst activity will be lesser at high temperature. So depending on the conditions of your desired product that you want to make out of the process, you have to maintain this temperature. You have to maintain this temperature. That is, temperature should be lesser 200 so that you avoid pyrolysis reaction and sintering of the catalyst. So the process means hydrogenation reaction. The process termination depends on the desired iodine number. We already discussed what is the iodine number. Based on the value of the iodine number that we require, we will end up the process and set all the parameters accordingly. So here after that we will get the catalyst and hydrogenated oil mixture. It goes to filter press, solid liquid separation. So hydrogenated oil will be separated from the catalyst. Catalyst will be recycled, and some of the makeup nickel catalyst are also we add it because we need to maintain the desired quantity of the catalyst in the process as a reducing agent. This hydrogenated oil is then passed to the vacuum steam deodorizer. Steam is being supplied to the reactor, and from there, from the above of the outlet of the reactor, the steam is being passed through the turbine and all. And this oil, deodorized oil, is then fed to the reactor where um, decolorization occurs. By the fuller earth carbon material, and then again it passes to the filter press. Solid waste is being separated, and we will get the product oil, partially hydrogenated oil. Depending on the degree of hydrogenation that we are doing in the hydrogenator, we will get the end product like that way. Okay. So this is uh, just like in the hydrogenation process, we have discussed about the batch process. Whereas whereas we now discuss about the continuous oil processing. One flow sheet that you can go through, that how the processes one after another are used for some, using some purposes of some solid liquid separation or liquid liquid separation, some distillation or some chemical reactions for getting the desired product according to our wish. We pass the oil through those reactors. So the crude oil is fed, and also highly concentrated KOH or NaOH aqueous solution is fed to the mixture. This is there can be several steps of mixture. So first it goes to the mixture one, and there will be acid and base reaction. The soaps will form some, and there will be soap separation. In the centrifuge there will be soap separation. Might be there is not 100% separation, so it again goes to the mixer 2, adding some makeup water. It goes to the centrifugation. Again the soapy water is being separated and the oil is fed to the bleach tank. For the bleaching purpose, we put the bleach earth from the feeder. It is put to the bleaching tank. After the bleaching product, it goes to the vacuum dryer. So in the product there will be solid liquid, the product of the bleach earth material and the oil. This mixture will pass to the filter press. Filter press, there will be solid and liquid separation, and from that separation that will be collected to the storage tank. If it is connected to the storage collected to the storage tank, you have to take care that temperature pressure conditions in the storage tank, it should not get in contact with the oxygen, or so that it avoids the oxidation and this kind of reaction, to not to produce the free fatty acid out of that. Then after such storage of 2-3 months or like that, that product is being collected and it is again drying, because over the period of time maybe it gets some more external moisture, and that should be removed before the hydrogenation unit. So it goes to the vacuum dryer, where uh, the product is then pumped to the hydrogenation column. Now the nickel catalyst is fed to the hydrogenation column. Hydrogenation reactions occur, and the hydrogenated oil along with the catalyst, those solid liquid separation, again there will be separation in the by the filter press. Okay, so from the filter press we are getting the hydrogenated oil that goes to the deodorization unit. We are blowing the steam, and by the steam, by the from the reactor we are getting the product of hydrogenated oil that is deodorized. Now again it goes to the goes through the freezer to solidify the some impurities, just maintaining the temperature below 5 degrees Celsius. And then it goes for the filler and packaging of the product. So the last part of this session, that will be a discussion of waxes. So till now we have discussed lot of things about uh, fatty acids, fats, oils, their processes, reaction involves, processing of oils and fats, and some numbers like iodine number. We have discussed the mechanism of expeller for mechanical methods of oil extraction. Also, we have discussed a lot about solvent extraction methods, the factors affecting the processes. So, the last topic of this session is waxes. So, waxes are typical. This is type of lipid composed of long chain fatty acid and alcohols. These are solid at room temperature, water repellent, and soluble in non-polar solvents. Depending on sources, these are grouped as animal, vegetable, minerals, and synthetic wax. Vegetable waxes are found as coating on leaves, stems, flowers, and seeds. Mineral waxes are paraffin waxes obtained from petroleum or coal or peat or lignite. Synthetic waxes are produced from fatty acids and amines. Carbowaxes are high molecular weight polyethylene glycols, and these are very useful as wax emulsifier. Higher aliphatic alcohols are used as emulsifier wax substitute. So waxes are also like there are vegetable and from the animal source, mineral source, and synthetic kind of sources are there that we can produce the waxes. These are nothing but the long chain fatty acid with alcohols. Okay, so I would like to end the session here. If any question from your side, so is there any question from your side? The first few slides that you have not attended at that time. Yes, what question that you want to ask?
Madam, one course is complete. Exam is online, offline, or written exam. Which type exam?
Sorry, can you please repeat?
Then course is complete. Exam which type mode? Online, offline, or written mode?
Your exam for the NPTL,
Yes, madam.
that will be offline only. The other details will be shared by you by the NPTL team. You have to appear for the exam offline.
Then written exam. No?
Yeah, the exam pattern and everything will be shared by NPTL. I am not informed in details about that. So you can ask the question in the like comment box of that NPTL platform. You can ask the question there. Q&A.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Yeah. So
Ma'am, notes of the session will be provided, right?
notes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All my like. In the previous class also, we have shared the link of my YouTube channel where I uploaded the video, like all the recorded session. And also separately there was one Google folder there I upload all the slides and other study material in that folder, so you can access. The NPTEL team will help you to access that. I guess in the NPTEL platform there is one section to access the, in the left hand bar there is section to access the live session folder, so you can
Okay,
access
ma'am.
from that. So I would like to encourage other students to join this live session, because it is the session, the purpose is to clear your doubts. So if you don't join this session, then that will be no use as of. So is there any question like out of this whole overall session? Is there any particular question or doubt that is in your mind? The From this overall fat and oil industry, that I can say that you can focus on what kind of mechanical operation and what kind of solvent extraction operations are applicable for different types of oil seed. It is not like that you can uh, mm, apply all the processes to all the oil seed. It is not like that. It depends on the raw material characteristics, and depending on that, we proceed with the selection of mechanical operations or the solvent extraction or the chemical process. Okay, so you can thoroughly read the books that has been referred to the slides, like NPTEL slides, Dryden book you can follow. And is there any other question from the live session you can ask? Uh, my previous YouTube video that I uploaded for the live session class 1, uh, is that accessible to everyone? I guess it is accessible to everyone. Anyone tried with that?
Yes, madam.
Okay. So I'll be uploading the this session also recording in the YouTube channel. So you can refer to those notes, and those notes are very aligned to the actual NPTEL lecture. Some little bit of extra addition of the concept, so that it can clarify your doubts in a better way. So if there is no question, then we can end the meeting here. I hope you also invite your friends who are registered for the NPTEL course to attend this live session from the next class onwards, because if the session becomes more interactive in nature, then it will be very helpful for the other students to address other their problems throughout in their understanding about the subject. Um, because this involves lot of chemical engineering. Yeah, Sahil, you want
Madam,
to
I
add
have one question.
question? Yeah.
वेजिटेबल ऑयल एंड देसी ऑयल को अलग कैसे करें? कैसे पता चलेगा ये वेजिटेबल ऑयल है या देसी ऑयल है?
Yeah. Can you
वेजि
please repeat your question once?
वेजिटेबल घी
हाँ.
और देसी घी को सेपरेट कैसे करें?
You are asking about.
आइडेंट उसको आइडेंटिफाई कैसे करें? वेजिटेबल ऑयल घी होता है.
अच्छा. So basically, you have the oil seed, right? It has certain oil content inside the oil seed. So you are doing operation, you know that you are doing operation, this much yield you are getting. Like, this is physically, you can also verify that out of the operation you are getting this much of oil, and you are putting this much of raw materials. Okay, so there will be some mass balance involving, and you will be, by visually seeing, you can also see, or by chemical analysis you can see that there is still oil that is residing, that is still left in the your raw material. The raw material may be not completely exploited, or not completely crushed into little fractions, so that it didn't get in contact with the solvent that you are using in the solvent extraction methods, or in the mechanical operation itself. It has certain limitation that it doesn't meet the 100% extraction of the oil out of the oil seed. So whenever you are getting the cake, that is the solid product after the oil extraction, the cake, if that is very wet in nature. Wet means uh, that is very wet, it has residue oil in that, then only it becomes wet, not completely dry. Okay, so the oil left in the cake product, that is the byproduct that we usually sell outside, because it can be sold to the animal, like for feeding the animals. So that has certain amount of oil, that is called the residual oil, that is not being extracted over the all kind of mechanical and solvent extraction processes. We are not able to separate that oil from the original raw material. That's why that is called the residual oil. Okay, that it will be present in the cake product, solid product. There will be little amount of oil will be there. No, there will be no there will not be 100% separation of the oil out of the raw material. Is your doubt clear?
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, Kriti, you have any doubt? There are very less students are joining for the session.
Ma'am, usually, like, what are what is the iodine number for various various oil products, basically?
So iodine number, generally, suppose you want to give the uh, you want to have the idea of at what extent your process has completed. So suppose hydrogenation reaction, you are supplying the hydrogen to the crude oil, so that it gets react, and it becomes the saturated fatty acid. So at what extent the reaction has completed, so you have to quantify that, or you are giving a tag, like some tag, like it is partially completed, it is 40% completed, like that. So that has been done by iodine number. Okay, so iodine number is that I have already discussed, that it is defined as the grams of iodine that combined with the 100 grams of oil. So by this analysis, we generally define the iodine number for that overall hydrogenation reaction.
Okay, ma'am.
So thank you for joining this class live session. I would request you to join for the next upcoming sessions. And for the other students and registered for the NPTEL course, I request all of you to join the live session, so that your doubts can be cleared in more effective way. We can discuss lot of other additional topics on or discussing the other concepts on those particular sections of chemical technology. So, okay, we will be meeting in the next session. So, thank you all for joining.
Thank you, ma'am.